I didn't want summer to get here before telling you about one of the best weekends that has to be of all year this April when I was the host of Hollers and Heroes Con, a 2-day affair in Pikeville, Kentucky, and then I headed up to Madison, West Virginia that same Saturday to host the 20th anniversary of All-Star Wrestling and induct Garry Damron into the ASW Hall of Fame. It was an awesome weekend. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and show you some of the things I brought home. Of course, my name's Adam Harris. I'm a collector, a ring announcer, and a wrestling fan here in the mountain state of West Virginia. Welcome back to the channel. I did Hollers and Heroes Con last year. It was one day only, and actually when they invited me, I just presumed there was wrestling because it was co-sponsored by Appalachian Championship Wrestling, and I'm a ring announcer, and I thought, well, they must be going to be having some matches in addition to all of these signings. But that was not the case. Last year it was all signings. I did a video on it. I'll link to it. It was actually 3 shows in 8 days or something last year. This was 3 shows in 2 days. But last year I met the Big Show, got to hang out with the Godfather, and they said last year, I remember they said, next year we're going to have wrestling. I said, great, because I thought there was going to be wrestling this year. And sure enough, when I walked into the arena, the ring was set up right there in Appalachian Wireless Arena. It was a beautiful drive, though, to Pikeville, and as soon as I got to the hotel, I checked in, it's buzzing about. I already saw a few of the stars that were being brought in. And when I came back down from my room, thanks to Earl and everybody at TimeWarp for getting me a room in Pikeville, I came down from the room to head over to the arena, and there was a bunch of wrestlers standing there, and I saw my friend Moose, and I said, man, can I take anybody over to the arena? He's like, you can take Tommy. So sure enough, me and Tommy Wildfire Rich hopped into the car, and we headed over to the arena. It was great. And Tommy was working on a promo, man. He had cut a promo in the room, was trying to get it to upload, and the Wi-Fi didn't let him go up. Somebody called him and said, the whole video didn't upload. There he is, man. A 50-year veteran of the business, probably, still trying to cut promos to promote. And that's more than some of the talent do these days. But it was ACW's Extreme Impact. I walked into the arena. Always take that moment to recognize the ring because that's our holy ground. And there were bleachers on each side, and I could tell this was going to be a really fun show. But there was over an hour of meet and greets with some of the wrestlers and a lot of the people that were in the house for the next day for the Hollers and Heroes Con. But at Extreme Impact, we had a ton of cool matches, some great women's action. There was an extreme scramble for the Bluegrass Championship that was won by Josh Bishop. That included Riddle, Beastman, Troy Parker was in that. We also had Sandman made a run-in. He made his impact known in the Bobby Blaze Invitational Battle Royal and handed out a few cane shots in typical Sandman fashion. Oh, man, unfortunately, my friend Shane Storm, man, it's never good when any of the boys get hurt, but especially when it happens to one of the GOATs, one of the greatest of all time, somehow the most lovable and hateable wrestler of all time, Shane Storm, took a big injury during his match, and I hope he's going to be okay. Not sure if he's going to be able to wrestle again, but I just wanted to send my love to one of the greatest, Shane Storm. Hope he gets better. We've got a show this Saturday at a walk-in time that I'm going to be ring announcing for, and I hope still to catch up with Shane Storm about our friend Danny Boyd, Professor Danger, as he was known in the wrestling ring. Heath and Rhino were in action, actually picked up the Bluegrass Tag Team titles and involved some of the Mortal Kombat participants. I think it was Daniel or Carlos Pacina stood up and said, Rhino, finish him. And that was the cool part. The next day, getting to work with, it's cool to be around the wrestlers, and that's the thing I know the most. But, a little bit of pressure on me to host the con throughout the day because there's like stars of horror. I mean, the stars of horror, as far as I can tell. The first Jason Leatherface was there. He did a whole in-costume photo shoot. The original Michael Myers, Rufus from House of a Thousand Corpses, the Rob Zombie movie. This guy who played Marshall's brother, Marcus, on How I Met Your Mother. He was super cool and 7 feet tall. That was like his gimmick on the show. And he was awesome. His name was Ned. And he was very complimentary. And I got a lot of great compliments because that's a different deal, hosting the con. They asked me to say a few things. You have to tell everybody where the ATM is. And a lot of people are trying to figure out where the bathrooms are. So I tried to make it like every 15 minutes or so, I chime in with an announcement. There were certain vendors that were just taking cash, so I tried to mention that ATM. But then I also talked to all the different vendors that were selling all sorts of wares, and I'll put just a little bit of clips here of some of the stuff that was available. Tons of great wrestling, but then also some really creative artwork, everything, buttons, 3D printed stuff, and I'm going to show you some of the things that I came home with I think I'm going to save that till the end of the video. I got 3 autographs. I picked up, 3 DVDs and a VHS, and then a couple of Prime pieces that I can't wait to add to my collection. So thanks for watching, you guys. I'm just here to share some of my stories of ring announcing and just documenting what is my 10th year of ring announcing. And thanks again to ACW and to TimeWarp and also ASW for the invite, man. I have so many countless unforgettable memories thanks to these groups. And so I appreciate them letting me lead their shows and trusting me to do that and make sure everybody has a great time. And so it was a great day on Saturday, and I could have hung out all day and talked with all the people, all the vendors. My boy JR from A Walk in Time, who brought in Brutus the Barber Beefcake, had a great time. I think it was him and Tommy Rich were standing there sharing stories all day long. I wish I could have stayed over there all day with JR listening to those stories. And thanks to JR, got a big autograph from Brutus the Barber Beefcake that I'll show you here at the end of the video. It was a good weekend. I got a nice Riddle auto as well. But then I couldn't stick around all day. I had to head up to Madison, just up 119 for ASW's 20th anniversary and celebrating Garry Damron as he was entered into the ASW Hall of Fame. Our special guest, Marc Merro, was in the house. I got to do an in-ring segment with him. And man, that just thrills me to no end. That was Johnny B. Bad, man. He was so pretty in the early days of my fandom, man. 1991, 92. It was him and Van Hammer, who we just lost. Rest in peace. And I have so many fond memories of watching Marc Merro. And of course, the wild man, Marc Merro, but mostly as Johnny B. Bad. And that's one of the reasons that I picked up this WCW card. I showed it off in one of my last videos, and I'll put the big photo in here to show off that sweet green signature from Johnny B. Bad. Really great decision. The card made it on time, and I'm really happy with this. And he was great to have in the ring. He was meeting and greeting in Madison. We had an awesome show. Last man standing match between Huff Manley and Nick Hamrick stole the show. But great talent, as always, from the ASW crew. And here's the Brutus the Barber Beefcake on the 89 Classics. That's the cards that raised me, as I mentioned also in a previous video. And I had Brutus sign this. I was talking to him about Mania, about teaming with Greg the Hammer Valentine. My boy JR likes to get a little footage of me rapping with the talent, and I love that so much. It's just such a dream come true to get to talk to the guys who really paved the way and that helped build my DNA as a wrestling fan. And we talked about WrestleMania 2, as I mentioned, and Brutus was on the first 9 WrestleManias, man. And I don't know, there will only be a few of those guys around who can say that, and I respect to Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And I got to say, I didn't get to spend a ton of time with the King of Bros, but he had a great match. It was really cool to get to work with and introduce him, and he's got a sweet signature. With so many vendors at the con on Saturday, it was hard to really choose where I was going to spend my money, but I wanted to spend a little bit at a few different places, and so that's what I tried to do. And there was a lot of great price stuff. This is Unforgiven 2000. This one's got Rock versus Taker versus Benoit versus Kane. Amazing cover, and it's in good shape. Of course, I checked it for mold. This also has Triple H versus Angle. Triple H with Stephanie, the Hall of Famer. Edge and Christian versus the Hardys in a cage. X-Pac versus Jericho. I mean, come on. I'm going home with this one. Then these are from, this is from, I think, the 2003. You can kind of see, I've got those last two there, are like, it spells out the year 2003. But it's all the pay-per-views in this set from 2003. And I decided to pick a few of them up. There's one's got some classic early 2000s wrestling on here. Rock versus Hogan 2 on this one. I remember watching that one in college at the bowling alley. I remember a guy walking into the bathroom. He goes, Hogan and Rock 2. Austin versus Bischoff. Jericho versus Jeff Hardy. And a whole lot more. Yeah, I remember watching that one at the bowling alley for sure. Then headed to October for No Mercy. This one's great. This one's got APA versus the Bashams, which I really wanted to watch. I don't think I appreciated the Bashams back then like I will now. Also got Ray versus Tajiri, Angle and Cena, Taker versus Brock in a biker chain match. And Brock was super active at this time. We've also got Stephanie with Linda versus Vince with Sable. Then next up, Survivor Series 2003. This one's got Goldberg versus Trips, Taker versus McMahon, all of this stuff in a buried alive match. Tajiri versus Jamie Noble. It's got to be a great one. And then, of course, then some more Bashams versus Los Guerreros, which I expect to have very high work rate. So there's some of the physical media that I picked up at Hollers and Heroes Con. Appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to show you 2 more pieces here and say thanks one more time to my friends at TimeWarp Ashland. I'm going to have to put a video here, and this is from what I believe his name was MK Collectibles. And this is like a mock-up of the new generation entrance, but I'll show some video where you can see it in action. Very cool. And it's going to make me redo my display. I'm going to have to put that to use. It looks so cool, and I'm going to figure out, well, I got to put it with the Hasbros, right? So I'm going to have to figure it out. I've been itching to redo my displays in many locations. I just got to make the time to do it. And then I wanted to show you this piece before I give it to the guy that I intended it for. I saw this early during the con, and I ended up asking my friend Moose, like, do you have this? Because he was best friends with Kevin Sullivan, and that's one of the people that took Moose under their wing. And Moose now runs Appalachian Championship Wrestling, has given me a lot of opportunities. And so I picked this up. He doesn't even know it yet, but I'm going to take this to Moose next time I see him, probably on Saturday at the Danny Boyd Tribute. But I wanted to give that to Moose. He's given me a bunch of cool opportunities, and I wanted to give back to TimeWarp. That's who had this for sale. And so that's going to be my gift to Moosey Baby, as I like to call him. All right, that's it for now. I'm going to be previewing probably the Bash and Beckley soon. I appreciate everybody that checked out my interview with Tom Bragg about the Nitro when Nitro came. Episode 31 was in Charleston, West Virginia, and me and Tom did a deep dive on that. It was so fun. So I appreciate you if you've checked that out. If not, go check it out now. And I appreciate you all watching along. Stay tuned for more. I hope to see you next time, and I hope you'll come see us at the matches.